You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxboro faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. Not only is Locked On Patriots a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, but we are also free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So make sure to smash that subscribe button and download and follow wherever you get your podcasts to ensure that you get the latest episode as soon as it's available. I'm your host, Mike Debate, and I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Fan Nation. Reach out to me and let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. While you're out there showing some love to Locked On Patriots, please be sure to follow the Locked On Patriots account as well at LO_Patriots. And folks, today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to, and they help you do it faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL and post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And Pats fans, the 15th head coach in New England Patriots history has been named. Jerod Mayo is on the job. The pleasantries have been exchanged. It's time to get back to business. And the new guy on the block is definitely hitting the ground running with both feet. Folks, to help break it down today and to help break down your amazing questions on what was one of our best Monday mailbag submissions I've seen in quite some time is the great man himself, the guy who's always there for the handoff when I need him. This show wouldn't be what it is without this gentleman, and I say that without hesitation. He is the great Thomas Murphy. Thank you so much for coming to me in friendship today, Don Murph.
Oh, always my pleasure, Michael. Always my pleasure. There's no way I'd rather start a week, end a week, or stop in, on hump day and spend a little time talking Patriots with you, man.
Well, bottom line, you have an open invite. I've said many times, folks, on these airwaves that Murph's embroidered chair is always ready for him. If he's going to stop in, we'll make sure to bring out the coffee and cake for him. But bottom line, we're going to record it. We're going to lay it down because it's always going to be informative Pats talk. And Murph, amazing questions today from the mailbag, and I think our listeners really hit the nail on the head of what is in the pulse of Patriots Nation right now. Let's dive right into it. And the New England Patriots, over the course of the next couple of days, Murph, going to be interviewing quite a few interesting candidates for the open offensive coordinator job, the open defensive coordinator job, and right now it's looking like the open special teams coordinator job. And that's where our listener today, one of our everydayers out there, Abigail from Lincoln, Rhode Island, wants to know who among the coaches the Patriots are interviewing is the most intriguing to you. Murph, I'm going to give this one to you first. Of the candidates that have been reported over the course of the last couple of days, whether it be guys like Nick Caley and Zach Robinson coming over and bringing that McVay wisdom and counsel to New England, or some of the internals that are going to be interviewed as well, some names Patriots fans might be familiar with, some not. Who stands out to you, my friend, and why?
Obviously, tight ends coach Nick Caley stands out to me. He's somebody who went out there, studied under McVay for a long time. He's got ties here. Another name that's been bandied about is Wes Welker. I think this could be an interesting direction. I'm not sure it's the direction the Patriots want to go, but help yourself, hurt your enemies at the same time. We could go in that direction. Another name that's been bandied about, and he's coming in for an interview, is Zach Robinson. The Patriots took Robinson out of Oklahoma State in the 7th round way back in 2010. And he's been bebopping around ever since. The former cornerback only lasted, through the end of the preseason that year, but he quickly slid over into the coaching ranks, and he joined McVay's staff. I don't want to say 2016, 2017.
Hmm.
In 2019, he became the assistant quarterbacks coach out there. This is somebody that might be um, ready to take that next step and bring some new ideas in here to New England. And lastly, and this is just a total shot in the dark. Why isn't anybody talking about Eric Bieniemy coming here?
Mm, good point.
Why?
Yeah, very
All
good
right,
point.
Eric Bieniemy has been one of the best coordinators in the league for years now. Um, he took a job to uh, get out of the shadow there in Kansas City, and I think did a pretty good job in Washington. He's innovative. He's decisive. I don't know why this man hasn't been given a shot as a head coach somewhere. Maybe he just interviews poorly.
Mm,
But he knows this game. He knows the offensive side of this game, like maybe nobody else in the league right now who could be looking for a job. I'm not sure what his contract status is in Washington, but to me, he's somebody that should definitely be given a look.
yeah, I think that's a great point. And look, Bieniemy is someone that is no stranger, folks, to coaching in high pressure situations. I
Right.
mean, when you're an offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs and you're in charge of being
You're the
able
game
to
planner.
navigate Patrick Mahomes, you're navigating Tyreek Hill, you're
Right.
navigating Travis Kelsey, some of the best players of their generation, and then you're trying to manage them personality wise
Yeah.
as opposed to just professionally on the field. That's a hell of a task, and it is surprising to me that Bieniemy hasn't gotten more play as a coordinator or even as a head coach. We've seen him
Yeah.
interview before, but like you said, maybe there's a situation where he just doesn't interview well or something to that effect. But those are all factors, folks, to consider. I love the notion of Robinson. I actually wrote about Robinson yesterday and called it Zach to the future,
Okay.
trying to get a little jump on maybe the
There
Mac to
you
the
go.
future that I missed out on. But it does come full circle. 2010, he's the
Yeah.
Patriots pick. Doesn't make it out of training camp, goes kind of the roundabout way to get back here. But wouldn't it be a great story for him to return and the knowledge that he brings
It
in that
would.
McVay Shanahan type offense that I know Patriots fans are clamoring to find. And I
That's it.
think that that's something that could be there as well. I'm going to flip it to the defensive side of the ball just because I feel like playing devil's
Yeah.
advocate. And I agree with everything that you said, Murph, and I think you're spot on. Um, I'm always going to be intrigued anytime I see DeMarcus Covington's name come
Yeah.
up as a potential
Yeah.
coordinator.
That's it.
Um,
I want it.
Sentimentality will always lead both Murph and I to want to see this happen. And folks, he deserves it.
He
Absolutely
does.
deserves it.
He really does.
Um, he was the co-defensive coordinator, defensive line coach at Eastern Illinois, coming to the Patriots in 2017. Just an example of what he's been able to do, moving up as a coaching assistant and then as an outside linebackers coach, and then to the defensive line. He has earned the respect and the trust of his colleagues in
Yep.
such short order that really makes him such a hot coaching candidate. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised his name is not being listed as candidates that are being interviewed
Yeah.
for head coaching positions throughout the league. Let's not forget that this defense this year helped keep the Patriots in games. I know everyone wants to just, shovel everything that the Patriots did last year out the door, but that defensive effort was such a key part in the Patriots being in a lot of one-score games, and Covington was a big part of that in that defensive line. Seventh in overall defense in the NFL, allowing a defensive yards average of 301.6. The Pats run defense, fourth overall,
Right.
93.2, and they had a 3.2 average coming into the final game of the season.
That's it.
Covington's steady hand at that defensive line was a big reason for that. So if he's getting a strong look from Jerod Mayo and his brain trust at One Patriots Place as a potential D coordinator, I love it.
Mhm.
I love this move, and that's intriguing to me.
Don't want to
I'm sorry,
talk about anybody else. I really don't, Michael. I really
yeah,
no.
I agree.
Honestly, as much continuity as you can keep on that side of the ball, and bringing the Belichickian kids back, and having Demarcus there to run the show. He's somebody that Mayo knows and trusts, and is a open to working with him as a head coach. As we all know, they've been together now for a few years. It's the right move to make.
Mhm.
It really is.
Yeah,
He's a fantastic
absolutely.
man, a great coach, and he deserves this. He deserves this shot
Mm,
for what the work that
he
he's
truly
put in.
does. And You know what else makes this intriguing about it is there's another name on this interview list that is coming in. Michael Hodges coming over from the New
Ooh,
Orleans Saints. Now, Ross Jackson, our fearless leader here on the Locked On Podcast Network, is also host of Locked On Saints, covers the Saints,
yep.
does an amazing job. He was one of the first people to tweet out that Hodges is a guy that should be getting a lot of play when it comes to coaching staffs. If DeMarcus Covington is going to be your choice at defensive coordinator,
hmm
there is a synergy between these two guys. They worked together at Eastern
Yeah.
Illinois in 2016. They shared the duties of linebackers coach. So if Hodges is willing to come in as a linebackers coach, maybe with a little bit greater title than
Yeah.
he had in New Orleans and work alongside DeMarcus once again, this is a coach right now that has helped to preside over a defense which is ranked in the top 10 in scoring for each of the last 4 seasons. He
Right.
replaced Mike Nolan when Mike Nolan left in 2020. He's coached all over that defense, and the Saints have been formidable in that area. So that's a name to keep an eye on, folks. I'm not saying the Patriots might be able to make it happen. If Covington is their choice or if another person is their choice, Hodges is probably going to want to seek a job upgrade
Yeah.
elsewhere. But this could be intriguing if Covington is hired. Maybe he can use his savvy and a little bit of Mayo's savvy to
Yeah.
convince this guy to come, because I think he's definitely a rising star in the coaching ranks. I think he'd definitely be well received in New England.
That's it. Yeah, I agree with that. Building out the back end, having that depth there is just as important in a coaching staff as it is on a roster.
Absolutely. And especially if you're looking at potentially Stephen Belichick going and coaching with his dad, bottom line, I think there is, intriguing options that the Patriots have all up and down that coaching staff. But a great question, Abigail, a tip of the cap.
Yep.
And thank you for asking a
Fabulous.
question that I think everyone is wondering about in
Yeah.
New England. And keep a sharp eye on the wire, folks, because as soon as these interviews are completed and as soon as we have word on who's going to be filling out Jerod Mayo's coaching staff, we'll be discussing it right here on
Right.
Locked On Patriots.
And
And
we'll
I think it's
finally
a safe
have
bet.
we'll
Okay.
finally have a better idea of the direction that this offense is veering off into.
Absolutely.
Okay. I personally would not veer away from this offense as far as other people would, but it's once this is in place, we're going to know which way the offense is going. It's going to give us a better opportunity to know which way that they're going to attack free agency and the draft.
That's exactly what Patriots fans are looking for. They're looking for clarity in moving forward on the
Yeah.
direction of this team. And it's going to help set up for what the team is going to do in the draft and also what the team is going to do in free agency. And Murph, that happens to lead us quite nicely into the next couple of questions we got
How
for
about
you on
that?
Monday's mailbag. Have a number of internal free agents on this team, Murph, and I know you have your eye on a few you want to keep in-house, but is there one guy you absolutely have to have?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I know which way Murph's going to go on this one, but we're going to pick his brain and more when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, at the start of the new year, every small business owner is asking themselves the same question. What is the one move that I can make that'll take my business to the next level in 2024? LinkedIn Jobs knows that your success all depends on the team you surround yourself with. That's why LinkedIn Jobs has created the tools to help find the right professionals for your team, help you do it faster, and here's the best part, folks, they help you do it for free. Because LinkedIn isn't just another job board. They have a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have so many qualified candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus the leading competitors. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or the resources to hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Don't delay, do it today. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots and spending part of your Monday here on the pod. And Murph, it is Mailbag Monday. We always love Mailbag Mondays. This was a great mailbag this week, Murph. A lot of great questions in the first segment. Obviously, a lot of Patriots fans, like Abigail from Lincoln, Rhode Island, were very concerned about what the Patriots are going to do to fill the coaching vacancies that are on this staff. But you and I both know that games are won on the field. You need the players to be able to execute. We also know that 23 members of the team in 2023 are headed for free agency in some way, shape, or form. So, Murph, when you look at the list of Patriots free agents, internal free agents, I know you've got some visceral reactions as to who the Patriots need to keep and who they might be able to live without. Well,
Right.
our friend Ryan from Ledyard, Connecticut, and I pose this question to you because he's down in your neck of the woods, my friend.
Yep.
Ryan would like to know, who is your must re-sign internal free agent for the New England Patriots in this offseason?
Mike Onweyu is
Mm,
the must have, the guy that I want. I don't care what you have to do. We shouldn't even be in this position right now. Should have been extended a long time ago. This should have been taken care of and mopped up. Take care of it now, and bring back who the man I believe after David Andrews is the best offensive lineman currently on this roster and has been for some time now.
yeah, without question. I mean, folks, Michael Wainu is so important to what this team wants to do in 2024. They have
Yep.
to do a much better job of sealing the edges than they did this season. Michael Wainu proved at the tackle position that he is capable of doing that. I would leave him at the tackle position at this point.
Right.
I think the switch was something that really helped spark this line. I
Yep.
know he can play guard. I know that's more of his natural position, but his size allows him to be so effective at both. And I think they
Right.
really could use that at the right tackle position. Phenomenal length, impressive ability to overwhelm his defenders, especially when he's blocking for the run, folks. I think that's
Right.
also a very big point, is even from the tackle position, Michael Wainu was a beast against the run. He'll anchor well. He'll protect the passer. You saw when he was on his game that Bailey Zappi definitely felt a lot more
Right.
comfort in that pocket. Even Mac Jones, early in the season, we get on Mac a lot for his lack of comfort in the pocket. But when Owenu was on his game, Mac had a few more seconds to make throws, and it
That's it.
made all the difference. I think that's a phenomenal choice.
Many times during the year that the switch that the Patriots needed to make it, that they waited too long to make, was moving Onweyu out to tackle and away and not the switch at quarterback and bringing in Bailey Zappi. I think things would have gone much smoother for Mac Jones if this had happened earlier. And I think City So did a very good job for a rookie. You know, he was good enough to be named an all rookie. And that would have, Bill can't draft. He would have, in his last draft here, he would have ended up with two all rookie players, one on each side of the ball, if one guy hadn't gotten injured and spent the entire season on IR.
Offensive tackle is one of those positions that doesn't necessarily get the glamour that it should, but it is the glamour position when it comes to the offensive line. I think
Yep.
we can agree with that. There's not a lot of glitz and glamour on the O line,
No.
but the tackles are considered the gems of where you go in free agency, where you go in the draft. You need solid play at the tackle position. And again, folks, this is why Murph keeps preaching what he's preaching about the draft. We're going to get into that in just a moment,
Yep.
buddy. Don't worry. I am not going to steal your thunder there. But I think Owenu is a perfect choice as the must-have retention. Now, we are hearing reports, unfortunately, some within the Patriots front office that are choosing to speak on the condition of anonymity are saying they are not very optimistic about retaining Mike. They think that he's going to test the open market and he's
Yep.
going to get blown away by an offer that the Patriots are not going to match. Well, if he's important enough, Jerod Mayo went on WEEI's The Greg Hill
Right.
Show on Monday morning and said, we've got a lot of cash. We're ready to burn
And
some
we're to
cash.
burn some cash.
Jerod, this is a guy you need to burn the cash on. This is an
This is a
important
slow
part
burn.
of what you need because I don't think Trent Brown is going to be returning in 2023.
No.
Just my own personal feeling on that matter. And you need continuity on that line. You can't go into this season with potentially a rookie tackle and then
Yep.
another tackle without experience in the system.
Right.
It's not going to work, folks. I think you need continuity. So Michael Wainu is a guy that I would make every effort to re-sign. And Murph, I think you've
Yeah.
articulated that perfectly.
You
So
can't cheap out here. This is, if you're ready to burn cash, this is a slow burn.
Mm.
Okay, this is a man that you can play almost anywhere along the line, with the exception of center. I don't know if he's ever taken a snap at center. He's probably too good looking to take a snap at center. We're not the best looking people on the planet. Um, but it's something that, as I said, should have been taken care of a long time ago. I think stupidly he was kept in there at the guard position to keep his price tag down. All right, Bill has done this in the past. You've seen guys
Mm.
that are coming up on free agent years who aren't getting the ball as much as they had in the past,
Mm.
who didn't,
Good point.
see the field as often as they did in the past, and that was to actually to drive the price down. It really
Mm.
was. It was one of
It
the
was.
things that I have never liked about Bill Belichick's team building scheme, and everybody knows that I love Bill.
Mm.
Um, but this is yeah. Whatever he gets offered out there, you need to top it. Okay, and
Mm.
you also need to show him that he's not going to be alone out there. That you're going to keep building and building in the right way. As I've always said, there are two kinds of players that hit free agency: the ones that are looking for rings and the ones that are looking for payday.
Mhm.
Right now, you are not coming here to get a ring, so you would better be willing to pay these people, Robert Kraft.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've been 30th in the
Great
league
point.
30th in the league over the past, I don't know how many years. I think I heard it was 13 years or 11 years in spending, in cash spending. All right, that time's over with. In the past, people came here to play for Bill Belichick. They came here to play with Tom Brady. You don't have that now. You
Right.
don't.
Yeah, very good point. And folks, it does. It resets the table in New England. And now the selling point for the Patriots needs to be a place where you can come, where you're going to be paid accordingly with what you're worth on the open market. And I think you articulated that well. This is something that the Patriots need to push. Yes, there is a fresh way of doing things here. It is a more open, a more lucid situation where the Patriots are going to be a little more transparent in the way they do
No,
business. But that's not going to be enough to
no.
attract the free agents you need to get back into
That
contention
keeps
in
that
short
keeps.
order. If
Yeah,
I'm going to choose my must have, because Murph, I agree with Murph. I think Michael Wayne is the must have free agent that needs to be had here, Ryan. But again, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, I'll flip it around and I'll go to the
yep.
defensive side of the ball. I do
Okay.
think Kyle Duggar is a guy that needs to
Yeah.
come back. I
Please.
almost went with Anthony Jennings here because of the
Yeah, I
season
got you.
he had and leading the team with 14 tackles for loss, run
Bring them.
defender, pass beast.
You
But
know.
Duggar is such an
Yeah.
important part of how they do business in that defensive backfield. I understand that they drafted Marte Mapu with probably an eye on the future. Maybe Kyle Duggar was going to be walking out the door. But if you want continuity in that defensive backfield, folks, this is a guy that is so
Yep.
adept at being able to run the Patriots defensive system. And as much change as you're going to see offensively, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of
Right.
change defensively.
Get
If
that
it ain't
second
broke, folks,
right.
don't fix it. Keep that secondary intact. Bring
Yep.
back the guy who led all defensive backs with 109 total tackles, 7
Yep.
pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and 1.5 sacks from the safety position.
Yep.
That's the
He's
guy
a
I want to see
linebacker.
here for a while. Yeah,
Stop it. Kyle Duggar's a
I do.
linebacker.
I want to see him here for a good long while. And maybe
Yeah.
at the expense of a guy that I have a tremendous amount of respect and affection for, both professionally and personally, Adrian Phillips. I think you're
Yep.
probably seeing him go elsewhere next year. Bottom line, I think Duggar does need to be back. So,
Right.
Ryan, excellent question. Once again, finger on the pulse of Pat's Nation. Internal free agents and coaches. But Murph, you and I both
That's
know
just
that
one
it's,
in a bunch I want back. We
yeah,
just gave
it's
up one.
true.
Yeah,
It's true.
I want
There
to do
really
that. I
are.
want every free agent that's on the defensive side of this ball, I
Yeah,
would bring back. I
absolutely.
really would.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think that, you look at Miles Bryan. I think he's a guy that needs
Oh
to be
God,
retained as
yes.
well. I love
You
my
know,
Miles Bryan. I'm going to
we
beat that
could sit
drum.
yeah, we could sit here and do an entire hour on why
Mm,
Kendrick Bourne should be back here,
yeah.
why Hunter Henry should be back here. For
Mm,
Christ's sakes, man, please
Zeke
bring,
Elliott. Yeah.
Zeke Elliott. Thank you. You just took the words right out of my mouth after what he accomplished here last year. Even Mac Wilson, there are guys out,
Good
Anthony
point.
Jennings. There are a lot of very good free agents on the defensive side of this ball. And as Mike said, it's a top seven defense last year. I think it'll be a top 5 defense or a top 3 defense if we didn't have the injuries that we did on that side of the ball and guys that were just jettisoned because they couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, these are the questions that are right now burning a hole, so to speak, in the Patriots, in the pockets of Patriots Nation. And you all want to know who's going to be the coaching staff, who is
Yeah.
going to be the free agents that the Patriots retain and bring in from outside the organization. But folks, I don't think this would be a robust mailbag enough if we didn't talk a little draft, folks. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Murph and I are going to delve into the draft and a position that we haven't discussed a whole lot of here. And there's a reason for that. But we are going to discuss it today in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, the NFL regular season has wrapped up, but there is still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots and kicking off your week in style. And when we talk about style, we talk about the man who styles and profiles. That's right. My good friend, the Don of Locked On Patriots here, Thomas Murphy, joining me as he does each and every Monday to help wade through the Locked On Patriots mailbag. And Murph, this was good. This needed to spill over into a different truck. Newman was not happy. It involved a lot of work. He had to work in the rain and the cold. You know he hates that, but he did help us out this time around.
Nobody needs mail.
Yes. Because the mail never stops. But that's a good thing here, folks, on Locked On Patriots. We love it when the mail doesn't stop. And in the previous segments, Murph, we discussed the Patriots coaching staff and the potential new hires. We also discussed the internal free agents and the guys we need to keep in-house in order to make sure that the Patriots are competing at the highest level. But we know that the Patriots fans are excited about the NFL draft. And I know a lot of the fan base believes they're going to take a quarterback with these top 3 picks. You've been very vocal about why offensive line should be the focus and why Joe Alt should be that first pick that the Patriots are announcing on draft night in late April. I think it's a compelling argument. I understand the argument for quarterbacks, but there's a large section of the fan base that believes receivers should be the priority. And it's understandable when you see a generational talent like Marvin Harrison Jr. And the stuff he's able to do on the field. But if you don't have the right guy throwing the ball or the right guys blocking to make sure he gets those routes open, it's going to be a lot of years where you're essentially wasting his talent until he gets the talent around him where he can shine. That being said, I do think the Patriots need to address the wide receiver position. And you know who else does? Our good friend Ted in Chicopee, Mass, a long time everydayer, going back to the Mark Schofield days, and he's continued to stick with us. I do appreciate it. Ted, a tip of the cap, and he has a great question here. He says, Mike, I haven't heard you or Murph mention a wide receiver a whole lot as a primary need in the draft. The Patriots need help there. Is there a prospect that has caught your sharp eye? Double tip of the cap, Ted, for the sharp eye reference.
There you go.
Yet. Murph, I always extend the hospitality to the Don. Is there a wide receiver prospect out there that you've identified that would look good in the early rounds of the New England Patriots 2024 draft haul?
Yeah, no, I get it, folks. I really do. I get the Marvin Harrison Jr. love because all you have to do is look at Marvin Harrison Sr., okay, and then add 4 inches and 20 pounds to him. And I get it. You know, all the talent that Dad had, plus more physical skills. Can you imagine having more physical skills than Marvin Harrison? It's you know,
It's true.
Another guy that's moving up the boards and is, you know, well within the top 10. Malik Neighbors out of LSU, Rome Odunez in Washington. You know, but we're talking if the Patriots are going to play this draft smart, and they have to play this draft smart, I still want them going with the tackle in the first round. I still want them to go with alt. But if you trade down, now I have done multiple mocks where, I have moved back one spot with Arizona and ended up getting their first and second round draft pick. I mean, their first and second first round draft picks. Okay, if you can pull off something like that, then you could be looking at a Brian Thomas out of LSU. You could be looking at a Troy Franklin out of Oregon. He's another fantastic talent. A top target for any team in the NFL. But a guy that if we don't, a guy that I'm looking at the top of the second round is Lad McConkey. All right, he's out of Georgia. McConkey is one of the best route runners in this entire class, and he can come in here and run whatever offense that you want to go. He's doesn't have quick speed, doesn't just have quick speed. He's got long speed, so he can stretch the field too. He can play inside, he can play outside. He's been a slot because of his size, but I do think that he could move to the outside. Another guy that I really have a high a high opinion of is also a second round pick, and this is why I want. I was talking about those trades before. I ended up with 7 top 100 first picks just of moving around with the Patriots top pick and ending up, still getting alt at 6. A Donald Mitchell out of Texas. All right, this kid is 6'4", has all the body control of somebody that is 6'1" or 6 feet tall. The way watching his film, watching him go through his gears, downshifting and then going back up is amazing. He switches speeds like few guys that I've seen in a single route 2 or 3 times. All right, he's a fantastic target there in the second round. Xavier Leggett out of South Carolina, 6'3", 223 pounds. He's a day 3 prospect, but if you end up with multiple seconds, he's somebody that you could steal there. This is a really deep draft, folks, at the wide receiver spot. But most of that depth is in the first 2 rounds. Xavier Worthy, the other kid out of Texas, he could be a fantastic fit here. There are a lot of very talented wide receivers coming out of college this year, and it's really going to depend on the questions that we answered at the beginning of this show today as to who the offensive coordinator is going to be and which way that they're going to steer this offense. Also, again, what happens in free agency is going to dictate how things in the draft play out. Who's still going to be here? Who the Patriots are going to bring in? Who are they going to burn some of that cash on? Is it going to be a wide receiver? That those guys are out there. But these are the guys that I'm looking at quite early, are guys that the Patriots should have a sharp eye on.
Absolutely. I think every one of the names that you've mentioned is intriguing, and for so many reasons. Worthy is a name that you mentioned a couple of weeks ago on Locked On Patriots. And obviously, I've been trying to do my due diligence about keeping up with all of the names on this list. But because you mentioned him, I went back and I gave Xavier Worthy a 3rd and a 4th look.
Yep.
And I absolutely love this kid's game. I love the fact that he can align as an outside receiver. He can play in the slot. And I love his ability to run a route. And again, if the Patriots are going to deviate from that a little bit, maybe this is not necessarily the fit for him, but this is not only a kid that can thrive in running routes, post corners, circle routes, pivot routes. You see him in his tape at Texas, and he does this on a regular basis. One of the things I loved about him is that he can create a break in the coverage. He can cause separation simply by selling the move one way to get a defensive back to bite onto it.
There you go.
And then he has the physical ability to break the other way and really make a big play out of it. This is something that the Patriots have not had a whole lot of in their arsenal. We see Demario Douglas do it a little bit. I think he's going to be your primary weapon in the slot. Worthy could be what I think a lot of people hope Tyquan Thornton would be. Xavier weighs in at 6 feet, 165 pounds. So
Right.
you need to put on the freshman muscle if you're going to be able to survive at this
Right.
level. But boy, what an explosive playmaker and a threat to
Really.
score from anywhere on the field this kid would be. He's someone I'm watching closely. A lot of people are projecting him late day one. If there's a possibility that could slip to day two, he's definitely someone I would keep an eye on if the Patriots have multiple day twos.
I think he's exactly with multiple day twos. I think you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people are talking late day one for the reasons that you brought up. I think he is going to be a day two guy. He's a former track man, and I love
speed.
that. Just fantastic speed. The yak that this kid gets after the catch at his size is unbelievable. And you guys know how much I love yak.
Yeah.
I've been wrong, like Bill, at the wide receiver spot quite a few times, but it's easy to be wrong at the wide receiver spot when you're picking the 5th or 6th best wide receiver in that class. This is really a class where the 5th or the 6th and the top 2 or 3 wide receivers, the difference is completely measurable, and I understand that. But that second group, it really comes down to the style of football that you want to play. And I think Lega is somebody that could fit in here or a lot of places and do exceptionally well. And yeah, I would like to see what he did on the opposite side of Tyquan Thornton. I want Tyquan Thornton, get him a healthy camp and see how that works out before I close the book on that kid, because he's a talented kid, folks. He really is.
See what he can do when finally given the opportunity to do it. And you also have some veterans probably coming back on this roster. I don't see the Patriots moving on from Juju Smith-Schuster or Devontae Parker based on the return on investment. So they're going to factor in here, folks. You got Kayshon Boutte waiting in the wings too. So there's a lot of logjam right now in the wide receiver room. The cupboards are not bare. You just have to find the right guys. And I think if the Patriots play their cards right, they could use this draft to bolster that room for many years to come. But again, it all comes down to needs.
That's it. And you can't get these guys the ball if you can't block. You can't.
Very good point.
If there's no blocking, no matter who you have under center, doesn't have the time for these guys to get out into these long patterns, it's not going to happen. And that's one of the reasons you saw Tyquan Thornton being used in the way that he was last year, because it was simply whether it was Zappy or Mack, they didn't have the time to sit back there and tap that ball 3 times and then get it out to where they're going to be able to catch up to it.
Ted, what a phenomenal question to end things today on the Monday mailbag. And anytime you can absorb the wisdom and counsel of my good friend here, it's always lots of fun and it's always great and informative. But what can I say? Thank you so much for all of your insight today. Before I let you go, please let everyone know where they can reach out to you and what we can expect coming from the great pen, the great voice of Thomas Murphy this week.
And of course, you can follow me on Zitter, on X, on the former, the artist formerly known as Twitter at TMurph207, and keep up with me there and everything that I'm going to do. And just, one last tidbit talking about the wide receivers in this class. Marvin Harrison Jr. is not the only junior that we're going to be looking at in this upcoming draft. I'm going to let you in on a little secret that there's a young guy whose dad is Jerry Rice, who is out there right now, and his kid Brendan, and he's playing for USC. Look for him in the 4th or 5th round. That'd be a nice little steal.
That would be a nice little steal.
Nice little legacy.
Pretty good pedigree there, folks, without question about it. Anytime that you can add a member of the Rice family tree, we talk about coaching trees, but that family tree runs deep too. And I absolutely believe that this could be an interesting offseason and an interesting draft for the New England Patriots, maybe one of their most interesting and intriguing in the last 25 years. Murph, what can I say? Thanks so much for everything. And we want to thank Abigail. We want to thank Ryan and Ted for all of your great questions, and all of you everydayers and casual listeners that submitted questions. Don't worry, folks. Murph and I will tackle all of the topics covered and then some in the coming days and weeks here on Locked On Patriots. But in the meantime, I remind you all to stay safe and to stay well and to be the change you wish to see in the world. On behalf of my good friend, the Don Thomas Murphy, I'm Mike Debate, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow on Locked On Patriots.